Don't call One Direction toxic, I swear to God. People are just horny, I don't know. I just cannot, guys. Like, someone Cowell is my first victim. I tried. Hello everyone, my name is Daria on my channel, and today, the next day of watching the dark side of One Direction, and I cannot say that I'm really excited about this because you know what was in the previous one. If you don't know, go and watch my video. I will leave something here. So yeah, we watched only issue 1, number 1. And now we're going to see what is next. I want to warn you, if something is discussed here, mentioned here, that can trigger you, be really careful about this, because I can be triggered too. So I'm really sorry if you hear something really triggering for you, really you don't want to talk about things. So yeah, be really careful with this.
This next little section that I want to get into is kind of similar to what I was already just talking about. It kind of branches off on that. But it's more about being controlled rather than being like branded and marketed a certain way.
Oh my god. Issue number 2. Okay, here they are not just their appearances.
They were very heavily controlled when they were in this band, which the whole branding thing is part of being controlled. But they were controlled in many other aspects as well, and I'm going to talk about them. So obviously it was really hard for their management to fully control how these boys behaved in public, because it's like, yes, you can media train them and you can tell them like what to say and how to be when they're in public, but they still have their own like conscious choices to make. But it's easier to control them when you're doing it via social media. Their management literally tweeted for them all the time. And there's a very distinct difference between how they tweet when they're tweeting and how they sound when their management tweets for them. There's been multiple instances where people have literally caught their management tweeting for them. So whenever management feels like they need something to happen, for whatever reason, they will literally go on the boys' pages and tweet for them, regardless of if that tweet is something that the boys agree with or not, or if they're doing something they agree with or not. It doesn't matter. And that goes along with planting quotes in articles too. The thing about One Direction's management is that they're able to have paparazzi photos of whatever they want, and they're able to have articles published about whatever they want. If they want to stir up a crazy rumor about one of the boys that's completely not true, they have sources that they can run a story to that's completely fake, that magazine or publisher, whatever company, will literally run. And then the entire world believes this crazy story that their management planted. Like, where did this rumor come from? It came from the management themselves. However they want people to see these boys, they can do it just by calling up their sources, calling up their colleagues and being like, hey, I need you to run this completely bullshit story. And then people are going to believe it. Another thing with that is like paparazzi walks, or pop walks, whatever you want to call them. Whenever their management wants them to be seen out in public with someone, they do. Like, they'll literally set it up, stage it, whatever. They'll go outside, hire paparazzi to come and take pictures of them doing whatever they want. That kind of goes along with being in, like, publicity relationships and being seen with people. Like, that happens a lot in the music industry. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about with One Direction happens in the music industry. That's just how it works. So even if they really don't want to, they don't have a choice. Their management's like, you're gonna get seen out getting coffee with this girl, and you don't have any say in it. We're gonna hire paparazzi to come and take pictures of it. Kind of going along with that, like, the boys are always instructed, or were always instructed to do things just because their management told them to. Like, one video that comes to mind in particular is when Harry was literally instructed to give Caroline Flack a big bouquet of flowers when they were going on to do an interview. And instead, Harry chose to give them to Ollie.
Always something about her.
So basically what I'm saying here with all of this stuff is that they were just completely controlled. They really didn't have any sense of freedom. If you put together all of the branding that they went through and like how they had to behave, and then you add that with them being constantly told what to say, quotes being planted for them, being forced to go out and be seen by the paparazzi with whoever they wanted, and not being allowed to say and do certain things, like all of that in this one bubble is like them being completely controlled. And it gets to a point where it's like, these boys were not human beings. They were like money-making robots to their management. Their management didn't give a fuck about how they wanted to dress, how they wanted to look, how they wanted to be perceived. They took these boys and they turned them into whatever the management wanted, whatever Psycho wanted. They had no sense of like freedom and like creativity, like they could just be themselves in this band. Like, no, they were just completely controlled in every aspect. Another thing kind of going along with what I'm talking about that's really just messed up when it comes to their management and Simon is that in the first era of One Direction, Up All Night, they didn't even believe in Louis and Niall at all. Like, Louis and Niall were pretty much useless to these people. They were just there to be there. They didn't give Louis and Niall, like, solos. And when they did get solos, they were short solos, or they were not really solos because there was another boy, like, harmonizing with them while they were singing. I think that's a really well-known fact, is that these boys didn't get a lot of solos, Niall and Louis, in the Up All Night era. But not only were they robbed of solos, there was so many different times when Niall's mic would be cut off. And yes, talking about this is going to make me cry. It makes me so sad.
You're gonna show
They would legit sabotage him. Like, in his own band, they would cut his mic off so that he would be singing and nobody would hear him. So a lot of times when Niall's mic would cut off, Louis would have to give him the microphone. Do you imagine how that must feel when you're this young boy who's in this, like, super rapidly growing and famed boy band? Like, they were becoming really, really famous in this time. And you want to be there just as much as everyone else. This is your dream. But they think you're not good enough. Then why am I here? Why are we doing this?
Yes, I just started crying while editing this video because it's getting to me so bad. But just another thing that I wanted to mention is that, like, this whole Niall's mic getting cut off thing happened so often that fans started trending, like, hashtag let Niall sing, and that became, like, a really, really common saying back in this time because fans were so used to Niall not being able to sing. And since this happened to Louis back in this time as well, like, him not getting enough stage time and, like, solo time, he ended up saying later in his career that he didn't even want to go solo
that they now have their own solo
because
careers.
He didn't feel like he would do well enough. And that stems from him always being made to feel like he wasn't good enough when he was in One Direction. So that's why I'm so incredibly proud of Louis and Niall now, because they've overcome so much of that, and now they're both doing perfect, and it makes me really happy.
And that just goes along with what I'm saying, like, whatever their management wants for them, they will make that happen for them. Oh, I don't want this boy to sing, cut his mic off. Like, he doesn't get any solos, he's not good enough, like, you don't get to sing. Like, whatever they wanted,
I'm literally
constantly.
going to kill
Moving right on with the whole controlling thing, though, another thing is, like, sound and lyrics, which Zayn has opened up quite a bit about not being allowed to do certain things or have a certain style when it comes to singing. On this subject, Zayn said, quote, "There was never any room for me to experiment creatively in the band. If I would sing a hook or a verse slightly R&B or slightly myself, it would always be recorded 50 times until there was a straight version that was pop generic as fuck, so they could use that version. Whenever I would suggest something, it was like it didn't fit us. There was just a general conception that the management already had what they want for the band, and I just wasn't convinced with what we were selling." So he's basically saying, like, no, management has their mind made up. They know exactly what they want One Direction to sound like. So when Zayn tried to sing something like he would in his own voice, they would make him record it over and over again until it sounded like their management wanted it to. Like, I get it in the beginning, it makes sense, like in the Up All Night era, to kind of guide them, write their songs for them, and make them sound a certain way. But then after they gain, like, a huge following and become the biggest boy band in the world, don't you think you should ease up and let them have their own sound and do their own thing like a band and experiment creatively? Like, it's so ridiculous to me that they were straight up like, nope, we want you to sound the exact same. Do it again and again and again until you get it right. Like, the fact that Zayn had no room to be creative with lyrics or anything. Another direct quote that I want to talk about came from Liam himself. He also did an interview similar to, like, Zayn's interviews where he was opening up about how One Direction was actually really toxic and that he never felt in control when he was in the band. So this is Liam's quote. He said, "When asked if he ever felt in control during those times, Payne said he never did. He explained, I still struggle with it now. I really struggle to say no because I don't like to let people down. It's in my nature." So basically Liam in this quote is saying, like, yeah, One Direction was toxic at times. I never felt in control. And that sense of not feeling in control followed him into his career now. Like, he still feels now like he can't say no to people because it was so drilled into his head when he was in One Direction that every single thing they say goes and he can't have the freedom to be creative. That's crazy. It's like they brainwash these boys. Not only has Liam been opening up lately in the past few years about not feeling in control and feeling like the band was toxic, he also opened up about turning to alcohol to cope with all of it. He literally had an alcohol problem and talked about how he went on stage drunk at times just so he could handle everything that was going on. And he also opened up about having to take literal mood stabilizers to help him. That is so... If you want to read Liam's interview opening up about One Direction being toxic and not feeling in control, or if you want to read on like him opening up about his mood stabilizers and alcohol problems, once again, everything you need will be in the description. I have those interviews linked so you can check them out. Another thing that I found when I was doing research that I thought was really interesting was Harry went on the Chris Evans breakfast show, which is an interview that he did. And while he was on the show, he literally told the interviewer that Simon Cowell is the source of his anxiety problem. And I know that a lot of people would say like, oh, he's passing it off as a joke, but why would Harry say that, you know? Why would he say that if he didn't mean it? He said that Simon Cowell is the reason he has anxiety problems, meaning that he still has anxiety problems to this day that were rooted by Simon Cowell. Like, Simon Cowell is one of the most successful people ever.
Harry,
like, he's Simon Cowell. Like, as much as you don't like him, you can't deny his success and how influential and powerful he is in the music industry. So there's no way that you can go up against him with his status and not do what he says. Like, he's Simon Cowell. He can ruin your life. So, of course, Harry and all the other boys had to go along with everything that he wanted. If y'all hear knocking on my door, it's the FBI, because Simon Cowell's gonna come for me after this video. All of the boys seem to have a problem with Simon Cowell in general, and it shows. Because, like I said, Simon is kind of the man who's behind all of this horrible stuff that I'm telling you about right now. It's very clear that the boys have a problem with Simon. I kind of already talked about this with Louis and how he behaved weirdly around him and like didn't seem to want to be around him and how he portrayed him in his music video. But all of the boys seem to have a problem with Simon, because now Harry's over here saying like, oh, Simon's the reason I have anxiety. So obviously he has a problem with Simon. All the boys seem uncomfortable with him in general. Like, you can tell when they're like giving speeches about him, or when he's around, or when he's like giving speeches about them. They kind of just stand there and they're like,
well, this takes me back 5 years ago when I met 5 guys singing as solo artists, and then I never could have predicted what happened next.
Very uncomfortable. It's written all over their faces how much they don't like this man. It's very obvious.
Good evening, everybody. We're truly honoured to present this award to our boss, Simon Cowell.
Harry.
I don't understand how anyone could ever look at these boys' behavior and body language and tell me that they like Simon Cowell. Like, it's written all over them that they just don't like him and are very uncomfortable with him. I understand why they're uncomfortable with Simon Cowell. He's the reason they were horribly overworked, had all this branding done to them. He even forced Niall not to get knee surgery just to keep him working. Like, you all know that Niall had knee surgery, and it was a crucial knee surgery that Niall needed for a long time, but Simon is the one who told him he could not get it yet because he still needed him. This is a crucial knee surgery that Niall needed, and you're more concerned with making money than his well-being. So not only do the boys make uncomfortable faces when it comes to Simon, but also there's the whole, not anymore, Simon. They clearly don't get along with him, and it's so obvious. So that was kind of my little section 1 and 2 of this video, talking and ranting about One Direction being branded and controlled. So now in this next little third section, I want to talk about another aspect of One Direction that was very toxic and hard, which is the fact that they were completely overworked. I feel like this is another one of those ones that's kind of well known, but I'm still going to talk about it anyway. I just want to start this section off by saying that Simon Cowell knew that he wanted to sign the boys of One Direction before they were even out of the X Factor house. If you pay attention to kind of how things were during the X Factor, it came as a shock to everyone how fast the boys of One Direction became popular. They were obviously formed on the X Factor and went through the competition just like everyone else, but they grew a fan base while they were on the show.
Yeah.
That typically doesn't happen to people until after they're off the show and they get signed or whatever. But the boys already had like screaming fans when they were still competing on the show. And Simon kind of opened up in the One Direction movie This Is Us about how it was crazy for him to see them growing so fast and so rapidly. Like, he said himself that he couldn't believe it, and that it was something that he's never seen in his career before. So obviously Simon's going to sign them no matter if they won or not. One Direction came in 3rd place on the X Factor, obviously, but it didn't matter. They could have lost the competition completely. They could have won. It doesn't matter. Simon was going to sign them either way. He already knew that in his head by seeing, like, the reaction to One Direction being a boy band. He already knew that he wanted them from early on. So when he did offer them the contract, even though they didn't win it, they were really young and impressionable and had no idea what they were getting themselves into when they signed this 5-year contract with Simon Cowell. Imagine that you're this like 16, 17, 18 young teenager from some random town. You know, you don't live in LA, you don't live anywhere glamorous, you grew up normally, went to school, have a regular family, and then all of a sudden you're in the X Factor house. There's hundreds of screaming girls waiting outside for you every day, and this huge music producer who is super influential and super famous is standing in front of you like, hey, I can make you rich and famous, sign this 5-year contract. Like, of course they're gonna sign it. Of course they're gonna say yes. I mean, this was their dream. They were too young to know better. They don't know anything about the music industry at all. Of course they're not gonna know anything about the workload and how, like, the branding and all of that stuff that comes with being famous. They just see, oh my god, Simon Cowell, we can make an album, we can make money. Like, of course they're gonna sign the fucking contract. You know what I'm saying? Especially because it's Simon Cowell, too. Like, are you kidding me? If I was a 16-year-old girl on the X Factor and Simon Cowell's like, hey, do you want to sign with me? 5 albums in 5 years, I wouldn't be like, sounds like a lot of work, let me think about it. Like, no, I'd be like, give me the contract, you know? So then when they got into the band,
sounds like a lot of work.
They were overworked. Completely. They recorded an album, went on tour, recorded an album, went on tour with no type of, like, pause in between. There was literally points in time where they were recording their next album while they were still touring the one before that. That's insane. That's crazy. That is so insanely difficult. It's just a constant grueling cycle of writing an album, recording the songs, doing all the promo, all the interviews, going on tour, and then while you're on tour, you don't get to catch your breath. No, you're already writing and recording a new album. Like, that's insane. These boys needed a break. They needed like a year or so off to breathe, be with their family, get back on their feet, and then record a new album. Being overworked like that is like super extremely damaging, not only to your social life and, I don't know, your personal health, but like Zayn even opened up about developing an eating disorder because he didn't have time to eat. He literally said the reason that he had one is because he didn't have time to eat properly, and it ended up giving him an eating disorder. Like, I can't imagine. There's a lot of things that I've talked about in this video and stuff that really shake me, but that's one of the ones that gets to me like the most. Once again, these people did not care about One Direction. They cared about making money, like pushing back Niall's knee surgery. Liam's an alcoholic, and Zayn's over here like not eating because he's being so overworked, and you just don't care. The last thing I sort of wanted to touch on in this video is the fact that One Direction has been completely sexualized by everyone since they became a band and were put into the spotlight.
Time for my angry reaction,
This doesn't necessarily have much to do with management, but it still goes along with the dark side of being in a boy band, so I thought I would at least mention it. Ever since One Direction was put together, basically, everyone has thought it was fine to be grossly invasive towards them, especially interviewers. They see nothing wrong with barging in and trying to make everything about the boys' sex lives and such like that. Even when they were underage. Literally, Harry was 17 when they signed with Psycho and started doing interviews and promo and stuff for their albums, and people still just thought it was perfectly fine to always make everything sexual or be grossly invasive when it comes to that kind of thing. Also kind of like insinuating that he likes older women and constantly egging on him about that when he was underage was weird. Even if he wasn't underage, even if the boys were of age, it's still just weird to be so grossly invasive and invested in their sex lives and making them into sex symbols. Like, people always just found it okay to like Photoshop their heads onto like naked body. They were literally given sex symbol statuses when they were as young as like 17. Media, interviewers, people who talked to them, like, they literally did not care. They saw these boys as just like another pretty face. They were also subjected to like really uncomfortable jokes. The one that comes to mind first in my head when I think about this is when they went on Chatty Man and Ellen Carr kept making jokes about like the Chatty Man sofa. Stuff like that. They were always subjected to weird jokes like that. I promise you, interviewers, you can be funny and entertaining and have an interview without sexualizing these boys. Especially when you're underage. But still, every single thing they did, it felt like, had to be about sex at one point or another, even when they were so young. Like, they are fresh in the spotlight, and you guys are already grabbing onto them and destroying them, like the music industry and Hollywood in general tend to do to people. Just so fucked up. And that's another thing that ended up following them into their current careers and their current lives. All of them still are subjected to stuff like that. Harry especially. Harry gets sexualized by his own fan base. His own fan base thinks it's so perfectly fine to go on the internet and post these disgustingly graphic tweets about him and make every single thing that he sings about, every single thing that he does about sex and him doing sexual things, when it literally has nothing to do with that. I kind of touched on this in, like, when I did my Lights Up music video analysis, how people just love to jump at any chance they can get to make anything that he's doing about sex. Like they twist his words to make it sound like he's trying to be sexual, and Harry has come out and said himself that he does not like the sex symbol status that he has been given. It makes him uncomfortable, and his fans just choose to ignore that and do it anyway. It is so entirely beyond me that people can claim to love and support someone so much and then behave that way. Like, why are you doing that to your idol, like someone that you claim to love and respect so much? You should think more highly of him than that, than reducing him to just some piece of meat like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially because he had to grow up dealing with it. Like, yes, all of the boys had to grow up dealing with it, but Harry especially, because of the womanizer brand that was pushed on him when he was literally 16. He had to grow up and figure out life in the media like that, in the spotlight, with that label on him. And now he has this chance to kind of, like, get away from that, be free, be a solo artist, and you guys still want to push that image on him. He's been suffering from that his whole life, and you still want to treat him like that, even though you love and respect him so much. So basically, overall, between the harsh branding, controlling, manipulation, toxicity, sexualizing, all of that stuff, all put together, basically means One Direction was treated like money-making objects. Completely created by their management. Created, like they were made in a lab or something. That's how they made these boys feel. And that is what I mean by the dark side of One Direction. Don't get me wrong, I love One Direction with my whole heart. I've been here since 2011, supporting them, loving them as a band. They have all talked very highly about One Direction, how much they loved their time in that band. At times, like, yes, all these awful things happen, but they do have good memories in this band and have talked about moments that they had. But like I said, even though they did have those memories and good times, they did endure a lot of disgusting shit with each other, which makes them brave and strong and makes what they did even more impressive. Like, they went through it, they managed to stay on top, they managed to stay successful, they managed to keep it together without losing it and breaking down. It's a miracle that they just survived all of this stuff together. And I'm so happy that they had each other at the very least. They had each other. Because some artists go through this, like solo artists go through this with their management and the music industry just on their own. So I'm so happy that they grew up together and they had each other. They had this brotherhood where they can lean on each other and endure it together. So I guess that gives you a little bit of a better understanding as to why Zayn left and why it was okay that they wanted to, you know, split up and go solo. They're all doing so much better now. Obviously, they still struggle with these labels that were put on them when they were younger, following them into their solo careers and stuff, and still feeling kind of like they're trapped in that same mindset from One Direction, but they're doing better. They're on their own time, own schedules. They get to dress however they want. They get to wear their hair however they want, say whatever they want, make the music they want, and it's so much better for them. So while I will always, always love and be so thankful for One Direction, I'm so happy that they're doing their best that they can on their own. Next time someone says to you, maybe, what's the big deal with Simon Cowell? He's not a horrible person. Send them this video and they'll find out for themselves why I don't like Simon Cowell and why you shouldn't either. This is One Direction's truth, and hopefully I shed some light on that today for you all, because this video was very highly requested and I'm really actually glad that I did do it. I feel like I just got so much off my chest and it feels so much better informing the people who don't know about it than choosing to stay quiet. Like I said in the beginning of this video, all of my sources and interviews and stuff where I got quotes and such from will be linked down below if you want to go and check these things out for yourself and do your own research or go in deeper. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I just brushed the surface of and did not even delve that deep into. So if you want to do your own research, please do, because I couldn't even make a video long enough to cover every single little detail that I would need to. And while you're down there, also don't forget to go check out my main channel if you're not subscribed already. I make videos over there all the time if you want to see more of me. My social media is also linked down below. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, also TikTok. Thank you so much for watching this video. I was absolutely terrified to film it, but like I said, I feel 1,000 times better now that I did, and I'm really glad that I got all of this out there. Let me know down below in the comments what you think about all of this, if you think I missed anything. Always open for discussion in the comments. I love reading your comments and seeing the conversations you have with each other. I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you in my next video.
Why do I want to say that? Whatever. happened to them already. Firstly, it's in the past. It's gone. And I hope that it will not come back. So whatever, I wish all the best. The only person that I hate, maybe, yes, the only person is Simon Cowell, not considering the rest of people working with him, like the rest of management. I want to wish these people to understand what they did, and maybe they will regret about that, and I hope that they regret about this actually now, yeah. Next one that I wanted to say is that no pain, no gain. And, you know, if I had a choice, I would, like, save these guys from this, like, if I had powers to do this. But you know what, that we are not that strong and confident and self-evident all this stuff without hard times. And I think that these things build us until we are who we are. Until this moment when you realize that you don't need to pretend to be anyone, you just who you are. And you don't care whatever anybody thinks about you. When you just look forward and go, you reach your goals, and that's all. And nobody can stop you from this. This is so great. And what I wanted to add to this is that without all the circumstances, they wouldn't be our guys right now. Maybe we wouldn't have, I don't know, Fine Line, we wouldn't have Walls album, we wouldn't have Nobody's Listening album, we wouldn't have Heartbreak or whether, we wouldn't have LP1 album, we wouldn't have anything of this. Now, I'm just so proud of all of them, and this video, regardless of this name, the dark side, the dark topics, you know, that all this bad stuff. Jasmine said really positive things in the end, and I want to say that this is so incredible, like this is so motivational. You see people struggling with things that are even harder than yours. It seems like I just completed this losing piece in my brain about One Direction. Now I finally got it, and finally can say that these 5 human beings, they're amazing. As I already said, talented, funny, respectful to everyone, just save their lives. I hope we save their lives. Because despite all, like, fake fans that sexualized or still sexualized Harry and the rest of the band, there are a lot of fans like us, me and you, who genuinely love them and support whatever is happening with them. Yesterday, Lee Thomason tweeted, "How is everyone doing?" And this is my favorite thing on Twitter. I don't regret that I have Twitter. I hope that I deleted the boosted emote. Just don't forget that every cloud has a silver lining. This is one of my favorite idioms right now. I recently discovered this for myself. Yes, I didn't know about that, and I really like this. Maybe it's cliche, but maybe I will get a tattoo in my future. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to this channel. This is Handle channel. Now I can officially say that this is one of my favorite One Direction channels, because Sebastian Black channel is great videos, all the stuff, but Jasmine, she's discussing all the stuff, and I adore when people analyze things, because I love analyzing things. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to my channel to get more videos. Tomorrow is a new video. I'm going to watch Being Respectful to Harry, 5 most memorable moments of One Direction, the bright side of One Direction. Actually, it's a pretty long video, almost 1 hour, but I will like this video to let me know what you like, or maybe you don't like this video. Let me know anyway. Below in the comments, you can leave your opinion on this video, on other videos that you have watched from my channel. What do you want to see next? And yeah, I hope that you're all safe and healthy. Don't forget to smile and treat people with kindness, guys. So yeah, that's all. I'm really proud of all of you who overcame or now is overcoming different things, who is going through really tough stuff. Remember, if you don't know One Direction anyway, just remember that a lot of people already did it and do this and will do that. Whatever happens, everything is going to be okay. So yeah, bye guys, see you next video. Love you.